Hi, Marielle from Marielle's Movie Reviews here. This is an interview that I had with filmmaker Paula Gonzalez-Nasser for her feature film The Scout. I saw this film at the New Hampshire Film Festival. The film is about a young woman who scouts out different locations for a new show. Enjoy our conversation.
What is your background as a filmmaker?
Sure. So I actually didn't grow up watching movies per se. My family, I grew up in Colombia and then my family moved to Miami when I was 10. And when we lived in Miami, I was a very outdoorsy kid. So I played soccer. I wanted to play soccer competitively. And unfortunately, in high school, I tore my ACL and
Oh,
yeah, not fun.
hmm.
But there was a intro to film class in my high school that a lot of the slackers took. And I was like, okay, I'll just take that because I wasn't really interested in much in school.
Mhm.
And it changed my life. Our teacher in high school was introducing us to really amazing films, like Hiroshima Mon Amour and just all Umbrellas of Cherbourg, just really incredible stuff that as a 17-year-old I was like, well, I didn't know that was possible. I didn't know this existed. And so I started applying to some schools and I got into the Florida State University's film program, which is a really small school. And what's nice about it is everyone
What
kind
was
of
the name
works
of the
on,
school again? Sorry.
no, I'll get it. Florida State University,
Florida State University.
yeah, FSU. There's just a couple FSUs, so I always say Florida State University.
Hmm.
And there was like 28 of us in the class, and what's beautiful is we all worked on each other's films in different capacities. So I produced, shot some, directed, did sound, and
Hmm.
we all kind of remained friends after the fact. And what I liked about it is it kind of felt like a team sport. It just felt filmmaking just sort of
Hmm.
felt very similar to
Oh
soccer
yes,
in
yeah.
in the way that you have to practice and train and work
Hmm.
so hard, but it's not an individual, win. It's everybody kind of wins when you're all in sync.
Yes, that's very true.
And so I just fell in love with it, and we just kind of all half our class moved up to New York together from Florida, and kept making short films, and I produced two of my classmates'
Hmm.
features while they also Ryan, who's my producer, I produced his movie and he produced The Scout. So we kind of just keep it going like a team sport.
Cool. And so is this your first feature film, or have you made other short films?
This is my first feature film as a director. I produced this other feature film called Free Time that Ryan, who's my producer, also directed. And I had directed one other short called Limestone, which also stars Mimi, who's in The Scout.
Oh
And
yes, he was great.
she's amazing. I had worked with her in 2019 on this short film, and I just knew I wanted to keep working with her and keep making something with her. So I wrote The Scout with her in mind. And then just called her up one day and was like, "Hey, I've been writing this thing with you in mind. Please say yes." And luckily she did. But yeah,
So, as a director, what is your main rule of thumb?
in terms of what?
Like in terms of directing style, or how you envision the movie, or just directing the actors, cinematography.
Yeah, I am a firm believer in like the process should be held as high in regard as the finished film. To me, if we're not having fun and we're not respecting each other, then I don't think the movie's going to be very well. And I've been proven wrong. Like there's been some horrible sets where the movie turns out amazing and you're like, I don't know how that's possible. But for me, I
Mhm.
think
Right.
the ethics of collaboration make me a better director. And so I cared really deeply about the people who were in our team and keeping it relatively small so that everyone kind of felt like we were doing this together. Sometimes I feel on a indie film, especially a first time film, when there's a lot of people working on it, it can sort of feel like nobody knows what's going on, and you feel very left out, but you're working so hard. Um, a little bit of how the Scout, what the Scout
Right,
touches on is
yeah.
is you're so
So how many
disconnected.
people did work on this film, like crew wise?
Yeah, I think daily there was like 7 consistent people on the crew, and then we would add additional people, like if we had a big day inside with multiple cast members, we'd like bring on some additional support. But no day had more than like 10 crew members at a time, which I know feels really small, but shooting in New York apartments, there's only so much space, so it actually helped us move a lot quicker to have a really small team.
Nice. So what was your inspiration behind the Scout? What was the story process like for it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I used to be a location scout, kind of professionally in the union for about 7 years. After I moved to New York, I started working in the locations department on different TV shows like Difficult People, Search Party, High Maintenance, and um, that was a lot of fun. But I think at the time when I was scouting, if you had told me that I was going to make a movie about scouting, I would have laughed and been like, why? That's kind of lame. And I think it took me uh, not doing that work anymore and taking some space apart from it to realize that it was such a quirky job and such an interesting day-to-day
Mhm.
profession where you're meeting all these strangers,
Yes,
and it,
yeah.
it just made for a compelling character, I felt. And I was writing some other script ideas, but they just, they weren't really going anywhere. They were a lot bigger. And I thought, oh, what do I know? What do I have access to? And scouting, I still had all my connections, and I still knew a lot of these homeowners, even in my neighborhood, who I had just photographed their homes. And I thought, well, if I can figure out a way to tell a story about a scout, like what's interesting about a scout. And then,
Mhm.
I kind of went through my journals and found some old interactions that I had remembered.
Yeah,
And
that
even
was my
though,
favorite part about it. That's how I kind of related to it because as a journalism and entertainment reviewer, I meet so many people and you end up having a conversation.
well, that's what's so interesting. It didn't, this might seem obvious now, but it didn't occur to me until making the movie that this was very relatable for a journalist or like a bartender or anyone who has a
Mhm.
profession that you interact with people daily, but then you kind of never see these people again or don't have
Right.
an
Hmm.
excuse to see them or talk to them. But
Hmm.
sometimes they're telling you really personal,
Oh,
important
yes. Yeah.
things, and you think about them. They stay with you. I'm
Hmm.
sure you've
Yeah.
experienced that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, I have. Hmm.
And you wonder like how are they doing, and it's
Right. Yeah.
there's
You
just too
wish you could
many
go back
people.
and talk to them again. Hmm.
Yeah,
So
so
we
that
talked a little. Oh, sorry. Keep
no,
going.
that just I didn't realize how universal it sort of was.
Right. So we talked a little bit about the casting of Mimi, how she was in another short film, but how did the other casting go for the movie?
Yeah, so when I produced Brian's film Free Time, um I was sort of modeling this film based on like how we were able to make that film, and that film was really small.
Hmm.
And I knew that to be able to do this, I was gonna have to get actors to say yes to, very minimal payment and just kind of very, we're gonna shoot 10 pages in one day, which is a lot. So I hope it's people who would want to say yes. So when I was writing the script, I was thinking of people I knew for these characters, and I wrote in their voice. So for example, Matt Baratz, who plays the fish store owner, he's kind of like a friend that I've gone to his shows before. And even though we weren't really friends, he knew who I was. And I was kind of hoping that that was enough for him to want to do it.
Hmm.
Same thing with like um, Ike, who plays the homeowner. of that beautiful wooden home. They're all sort of Brooklyn comedians that I've kind of interacted with in the last few years. And so I wrote these roles with them in mind, which made it easier in terms of not having to do auditions and not having to put out a wide casting call. So I just kind of, again, like with Mimi, I just called them up and said, hey, kind of weird, but I've been writing this role with you in mind. And luckily, everyone was really flattered and felt like this was interesting. And because it was only 1 or 2 days where we needed them, it felt doable with their schedule, and they said yes.
Well, I really liked how Mimi played the part, and because it's really all about the emotion she has and just how she's feeling about this job. So I liked that. Did
Yeah, I really think
you
that,
talk with her a lot about like playing this role?
yeah, and I'll just say thank you. And I think the reason this movie works at all is because of Mimi.
Hmm.
I think she carries a lot of the film on her shoulders, and
Yes.
you can
Yeah.
see a lot of the unspoken expression in her eyes.
Mhm.
And I could just imagine this not working with somebody else in the role. So Mimi, it's funny, she's a comedian and a
Well,
singer,
really?
and yeah, she's a very loud personality, which you wouldn't imagine that seeing the film. And when I told her about it, I sent her the script. At first, she was really excited. And then she read the script, and a few weeks later, she called me again and she was like, hey, I'm actually really nervous because this is such an internal, sort of reserved character. I don't know if I can do this sort of slice of life,
Oh. Hmm.
character. And I was surprised. I was like, really? I don't like it's not, I see you in this way. And it hadn't occurred to her that she has this amazing ability to oscillate between very quiet and internal and then very loud
Yeah, I liked that
and
about her
external.
character. Hmm.
Yeah. So when she's with her friend, when she reconnects with her friend, I think the true her sort of comes out because she feels safe and she's able to kind of relive some of these like college memories. And you see that a little bit. You see her
Hmm.
louder side kind of come out. So I think she did a great job. She was really nervous about it and she was unsure that she could do it, but I think that she's
Well, she
proven
really
herself
sells the movie.
wrong.
I really enjoyed her performance because she made the
I'm so
character
glad.
feel believable, and that's what's important.
Yeah, she really asked me a lot of questions about what scouting felt like and the awkwardness, and it was actually her idea to not meet the other cast members beforehand, so we didn't
Oh,
do
that's a good
rehearsals
idea.
because that tension of that first meeting was very real. That's where they met for the first time.
So, did you do similar things where you scouted out different locations for the movie?
Yeah, I one of the first things we started doing even before the script was locked, is I started looking for spaces and scouting, and I was the scout for the movie. And what I didn't realize, again, it might sound obvious now, is that by doing the scouting for the movie, I was kind of rehearsing and getting in the headspace of what this
Mhm.
character would experience. And even in scouting, because I hadn't scouted for like 3 years up to that point. So getting back into it and getting in that headspace, leaving, doing the flyers and knocking on doors and calling people, it really brought more ideas to the
Mhm.
script than I had remembered. And we ended up changing some of the script once we found the locations, just to sort of tailor it a little bit more to the space where we were going to shoot. And yeah, it was built in rehearsal. It was awesome. I wish that every film had the opportunity to let you do the job of the protagonist for a little bit as rehearsal, because it really helped, I think, get me back into that space.
Mm. How long did it take to film The Scouts?
We filmed in 10 days. Um, yeah, it was very quick. But the thing about the way we were able to do this and have these locations is all of those vignettes with the homeowners, those were each one day in one location. and then everything around those. So that was really 4 or 5 days. And
Hmm.
then everything where she's outside and in the car and walking around and in the office, those were the rest of the 5 days. So we really didn't, it was out of necessity. We just didn't have access to these spaces for more than a day. And we had to dress them and put them back and all in the same day.
So were there any challenges in making the movie?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it was a little ambitious. Speaking of the 10-day shoot, because we shot free time in 10 days, and I said, that was so fun. Let's do that again. But that film has a very different shooting style. The DP of that film, Victor, a
Hmm.
lot of the coverage is shot from the same angle, and you're kind of just doing zooms in on different people. And for this film, it's very static, it's a very wide and observational film. And those kind of setups just take so much longer to sort of do and get right, and the blocking, and you're kind of doing the whole scene as a master. And I just didn't know that. It's my first time. So I was like, oh, this is really hard. We learned a lot. We learned that some of these things just need more time or more preparation. And I'm not as scared of rehearsal as I am, as I was before making this movie. I said, no rehearsal, that's great. It'll feel authentic. And now I'm a little bit more open to prepping that sort of shooting style a little bit better.
Um, so how do you relate to the themes in the film? Like example being the career, and I kind of saw it a bit as a coming of age story too.
Yeah, I thought while making this film, and even now when I see it, there's still a lot to relate to in terms of, making an indie film of this size, a micro budget of this size. You're kind of running around doing everything yourself, right? And
Mhm.
so much of it is 90% of it is not creative. I think what people think making a movie is like, oh, that's so glamorous. You're like the
Mhm.
director, and it's like, yeah, that was the 10 days. Everything else outside of that is such a grind, and it's so hard, and you kind of have to find a lot of discipline within yourself to keep doing it and keep going. And
Mhm.
so I still relate to Sophia because it feels like every day I'm like, especially in the edit, it was just an uphill battle of like trying to find motivation to keep going, and um trying to, even now, just thinking about doing the next thing. It's just,
Mhm.
indie film is so hard to feel like things are moving in a positive direction right now with the way that the industry is going. So I think her situation kind of mirrors the film industry at large, where it's like we're making a bunch of content, and you can turn on your TV and watch a lot of, true crime series on Hulu, but a lot of it is stuff that people haven't even heard of or like are even watching. And so there's all this
Yeah,
stuff getting
like
made but
I'm a
not
big
getting
indie
seen.
film lover. Because like you never know what's out there. That's why I'm always looking on Internet Movie Database or around film festivals to what movies are out there.
But I think
Mhm.
you're very rare for that. I think a lot of people
Yeah,
don't even know what's out there. Like they don't even know that you can watch these movies. And so
right.
it's so nice when people like you seek out, different projects. And especially the lineup at New Hampshire was incredible. I think
Yeah, I
like,
wish I could have stayed the rest of the weekend. It was my second time at the film festival, and it's always a great experience. But have you been to the New Hampshire Film Festival at all?
no, sadly, I couldn't go. The year free time was there. I think that was 2023.
Mhm.
And I really wanted to go because we heard great things. And Jesse, who plays the DP from the TV show, he's from New Hampshire, and he's gone to that festival like every year,
Mhm.
and says it's amazing.
Yeah, last year was my first time ever going to it, and I think I'll make it a tradition each year.
It sounds,
It's
yeah,
just so fun just seeing all the movies and meeting everyone too.
It sounds like it's a really, really great festival. I think in
Hmm.
the region it might be the best one in terms of
Yeah.
programming and
Hmm.
just the size. It's like a perfect way to like actually see movies. Because some festivals you
Hmm.
don't even get to see movies. It's
So I
hard
think
to
there's
see movies.
about five to six different venues there where you can see movies.
Yeah.
Uh, so what was your favorite scene in the movie? What did you like filming the most?
Oh, that's a great question. I haven't been asked that. Um, wow. My favorite film. I mean, the scene I had the most fun with was the Mexican restaurant with the fish store owner. Because Matt Baratz is just the way his brain works is incredible. It was scripted, but I would say as the scene progressed, I let him riff a little bit and he improved some things that just were cracking us up. And our DP Nicola, I think it had to have been that because our DP Nicola is one of the most serious people I know. She's so
Mhm.
focused and she knows how to have fun, but I think when she's working, she's extremely serious. And I just look over and he was breaking her with the things he was saying and she was laughing. And that was our last day of filming and that just warmed my heart because I was like, I haven't seen her be this joyous in so long. So I think that day, and that was the same day we filmed the fish store, and that was really fun too because there were so many obstacles, like open tanks of water and all these fish, and the fish store owner was
Mhm.
very chatty, and it was a silly, silly fun last day.
And so my last question is, how do you want this film to impact audiences?
Yeah. Um, I think the film doesn't have like an inherent built-in message per se of, there's like this journey that the protagonist goes through and this is the lesson that you learn. But I think in watching the film, I just hope that people reflect on their own lives and either relate or don't relate to Sophia in terms of how, extractive and transactional their jobs might be and how they might be sort of stuck in this cycle of, you know, working and chasing something, but not leaving enough space for their own lives. So what I'm hoping is just that people are like, wow, I maybe don't want to look back and realize it's been 20 years and I don't know what any of my friends are up to. I haven't kept up with family. I just hope that they take a step back and say, this job is going to kill this protagonist. I don't want that for
Hmm.
myself.
Hmm. You always think about careers too.
Right.
All right, well, thank you. Those are all my questions, but if there's anything you think we missed, we can talk about it now.
No, I really liked your questions. I feel like I got to talk
Oh,
about
thank
some
you.
things that I just hadn't even, remembered, and I just really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us for our conversation. Check out the movie The Scout. More movie reviews will be coming up soon.